The place to be is right here with me. It's Random Topic Sundays on channel GBoot2786, on Gavin Richard, on Facebook at Gavin Richard, and on GavinRich2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. On today's show, we will be talking about President Joe Biden's gun violence plan. Derrick Chauvin sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison for the murder of George Floyd. Do you think justice was served? Othal Wallace apprehended in DeKalb County. Othal Wallace is the Twitter video that had that body cam video that's going viral. We're going to talk about that and also some legal aspects of that. And also the Breakfast Club and some guests disrespect foundational Black Americans on the origins of hip hop. So that will be it. You guys, whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Of course, we got to pay a few dues in a second, but I want to go ahead and take this time and thank all of my new subscribers, those that have been loyal and faithful to this platform, to this channel, to help us grow. If you would like to donate to the channel, you can donate at the Cash App below, at GooglePay, or at PayPal. We are live, and I'm coming at you with 5 right after we get on up. Okay, it's supposed to be playing. Excuse me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We're having technical difficulty.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we're living. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
I like that song, but that is not part of the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents. I hope you all are blessed and doing safe. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed. Right now, we are talking about a bunch of things. You guys should download and check out my latest single on iTunes, Spotify, and Apple. You got to get on up. Also, I'd like for you all, if you haven't already, to check out my Patreon page. The Patreon, of course, is the same as the YouTube channel. I have a link right here in the description. You'll see a link in the description, and also I have one in my chat room. If you guys want to go ahead and click on that. Let's see who we got here in the comments section. So far, it's just been me. We got about 5 people that are watching in. I know it might be early where some people still are. Well, it shouldn't be that early. It's 12 o'clock noon. I don't know what anybody's doing, but you guys, if you're enjoying the show, which I'm hoping you are, I want to thank my new subscribers. I want to thank all of you who have tuned in, who have contributed. Shout out to our brother. He sent me something earlier, Brother Bernard Johnson, King BJ. You guys subscribe to his channel. I want to be talking about one of these topics. Bernard sends me stuff all morning and stuff like that. And actually, I'm going to see what he's up to. I see Ron Hurd is watching. Shout out to Ron. And Sean James, everybody who may be tuning in right now. You guys pile on in. We're getting some more subscribers, getting more viewers right now. All right. This will be about an hour, 15-minute show at best. I'm going to try and keep it limited because there are things I need to do today, things I'd like to do. It might be a little shorter than that. Who knows? But I like to get my stuff out early, especially when it comes to topics like these. So I want to do, first and foremost, we got to do our Black Music Month. Now, I don't care what anybody says. They call this Pride Month. They call it Transgender Month, LGBTQ, or whatever month they call it. This is Black Music Month. I think they got different people claim different months, but the month of June for me is Black Music Month. And today's Black Music Month, we're going to be celebrating the music of Mr. Gil Scott-Heron. Now, those of you who don't know who Gil Scott-Heron is, and it's going to relate to a topic we're talking about later. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on The Breakfast Club and how they disrespected some Foundation of Black Americans. Okay, Bernard just texted me. That's why I'm looking. I get these notices to my right. Now, Gil Scott-Heron, this is a picture of him right there, courtesy of Wikipedia. Gil, he was performing at some concert. Now, Gil Scott-Heron was an American soul and jazz poet. He passed away back in 2011, almost over 10 years ago at the age of 62. But he was actually known as a spoken word performer in the 70s and 80s. He rapped over beats, and he rapped over beats and songs, and he fused his music with jazz, blues, and soul. At that time, his lyrical content was top shit. You know, his lyrical content was on social and political issues. So he was a precursor mainly to other artists such as uh, Public Enemy, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, all of those brothers as well. I mean, Sister Soldier, all of those people that came after KRS-One, he influenced a lot of those people. So Gil Scott-Heron, you know, his best album, or album he's known for, is a poem that he did, because he was more a jazz poet, but he did over beats, and that influenced hip hop. And he did called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." I can't play any of it because I don't know who owns it, and of course, we don't want to get hit with a Xerox. I said Xerox because I'm reading this. We don't want to get hit with a copyright claim. But what's up, King BJ is listening. Versatile Legacy in the Black Eye. Hello to you all. His poem has been infused in pop culture. Originally, it's interesting. The song's title was originally a popular slogan among the Black Power movements of the 1960s. Its lyrics either mention or allude to several television series and related to advertising slogans and icons of entertainment and news coverage that serves as examples of what the revolution will not be. So won't be a cop-out, won't be Skag or, Xerox, and all of these cultural references he had in the poem, such as Julia, Bullwinkle, Hero Agnew, who was a vice president under Richard Nixon. Nixon, of course, is involved because he was president at the time Heron recorded this. And I remember Gil Scott-Heron even performed, if you want to be technical, he was the first hip-hop artist to perform on Saturday Night Live. He actually was the musical guest when Richard Pryor performed back in December, I think it was December 1st, 1975, when Richard hosted SNL, if I'm not mistaken. So he was on there. And of course, Mr. Heron passed away back in 2011. Some of his other tributes, he did some time. Well, I don't like to focus on this, but he had some issues with drugs in the past. He was plagued with. Mr. Heron was still writing and performing new albums. Apparently, he was working on a new album that he had resumed working on a book that was published posthumously called The Last Holiday. So that book was about how Stevie Wonder attempted to have Dr. King's birthday recognized as a national holiday. So that was cool. Now listen to this. Chicago, this is just some of the influence that he had. He has been described by music writers as the godfather of rap and the Black Bob Dylan. Chicago Tribune writer, I would say that Bob Dylan is the white Gil Scott-Heron. Chicago Tribune writer Greg Kot stated that together they crafted, on his work with Jackson, together they crafted jazz-influenced soul and funk that brought new depth and political consciousness to 70s music alongside Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder. In classic albums such as Winter in America and From South Africa to South Carolina, Scott-Heron took the news of the day and transformed it into social commentary, wicked satire, and proto-rap anthems. He updated his dispatches from the front lines of the inner city on tour, improvising lyrics with the improvisational daring that matched the jazz soul swirl of the music. So he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame actually this year for a recipient of an Early Influence Award. So because of his early influence on a genre, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His brother hailed from Chicago, Illinois. So he is a foundational Black American. So rest in peace, Mr. Gil Scott Heron. You are today's moment in Black music. All right. So let's get down to business, to the business of government, as Marion Derrick would say. My topics, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. This was breaking news. Othal Wallace was apprehended in DeKalb County. Now, those of you who have not been following the video or have not been under a rock, you probably have seen this video that was trending online. Tariq Nasheed had posted it, and it was on YouTube of this shooting that took place in Daytona, Florida. I don't know the city exactly, but I think the county is Daytona Beach County, if I'm not mistaken. And so we have a Othal Wallace who was, I don't know for what reason, and I'm going to play the 29-second clip, but Wallace apparently is getting out of a vehicle and he's driving his car. You know, his car is parked. Anybody that has any details about this, my understanding from what everyone says is this was his house and or apartment complex. It looks like it's an apartment complex where he was already in the car and he was parked. It's not running. The engine is not running. And I'll show the clip for everybody, those that haven't seen it. This is some reporter, I believe, out of Dave Bondi TV says, the Daytona Beach police released this video of suspect 29-year-old Othal Wallace. Investigators say he shot an officer in the head. The condition of the officer is not known. As I know, right now, the officer is still alive. So,
how's it going? Do you live here? What's going on? Sit down. Sit. Sir. You sit down, I'll fuck you. Okay. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't do this. Sit down. Why are you asking me do I live here? Do you live here? Yes or no? What's going on, though? Who? Charlie 77. No, back up. Stop, man. How's it going?
okay.
Do you live here? What's going on? Sit down. Sit. Sir. You sit down, I'll fuck you. Okay. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't do this. Sit down. Why are you asking me do I live here? Do you live here? Yes or no? What's going on, though? Who? Charlie 77. No, back up. Stop, man.
All right. Now, let me get out of here for a second. Okay, so this footage that you all saw, the footage you saw, the body cam footage from the officer who was shot. Now, this happened on June 23rd. That was this past Wednesday. And Wallace is in his car. Now, just to clarify, those that's going to get information, because I'm speaking as a lawyer, I know about contextual stops. I know about Terry v. Hile, stop and frisk, all of these things. Let me remind you guys about the law. And what we have to realize is that we live in a country, of course, that has not been that friendly to African Americans, to Black Americans. But nevertheless, we are Americans. We built this country. And in all proceedings, when someone is accused of a crime, I'm going to always say alleged. This is just me, just for legal purposes, because although I know from the video that he was apparently shot by this man, and I say apparently, but I will say alleged because Mr. Wallace is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt based off what the evidence is. Now, I take beef with the way that the media, and I'll show you a video, how they build up these anticlimactic reports, or they do anticlimactic reporting to try and get you, the public, emotional, and also portray others in a negative way. And we know that they lie too about the way something happens. Now, as an attorney, let me just say this doesn't constitute legal advice, but this is just my opinion based off my expertise, what I know. Fourth Amendment of the Constitution protects citizens from unreasonable searches and seizures of their person, their places, their business effects. You can't enter someone's home without a warrant, barring, of course, any exigent circumstances. And by exigent circumstances, we're talking about if there's a threat to life, destruction of evidence, things of that nature. That's what exigent circumstances refers to. So it prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures. The car is not running, and I don't know how far, if he followed Mr. Wallace, if he was there patrolling in neighborhood, in that apartment complex. I've lived in apartment complexes before where they have had a police car that was parked out there. I don't know if that police officer lived there or if he was there just doing security or just whatever reason it was. But I have seen that happen before where cops will come around in private complexes and be there for whatever reason. I don't know. But what reason did he have? And we have to ask this question to warrant to stop or to ask Mr. Not even stop, but I'm just going off the 30 seconds that we see here, to grab Mr. Wallace and ask him, why did you live here? You don't just walk up to someone as a cop, and a person can choose to engage you or not. If you don't have a valid reason for stopping him, you don't have reasonable suspicion that a crime has taken place or set foot, or probable cause. Probable cause and reasonable suspicion are two different things. Of course, probable cause is when there's articulable facts within the officer's knowledge that would make a reasonable person believe that a crime is or has taken place, whereas reasonable suspicion is a little bit less than that. Reasonable suspicion essentially means that the officer can do a contextual stop. This is from Terry v. Ohio. If he believes that criminal activity could be set or foregoing. So when we look, and that is Terry v. Ohio was an old 1960s case, and that allowed for what's called stop and frisk. Now, what we call a Terry stop, such as a traffic stop, or Terry stop is basically means that it's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment of a person's. It's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures when a police officer stops a suspect on the street and asks him questions, and you can do it without probable cause. So you don't need probable cause to have reasonable suspicion. This is just basically means it's more than a hunch. And here's the thing. It's less than probable cause. It has to be based on specific and articulable facts. And you have to take it together with rational inferences from those facts, and the suspicion must be associated with an individual, a particular individual. I don't know what reasonable suspicion. What's up, dark-skinned brother? I don't know what reasonable suspicion he had because Mr. Wallace was in a car, why he would put his hands on him. Now, we noticed in the video, if we play the video again, that the officer, he approaches the vehicle.
How's it going?
Mr. Wallace is getting out of his car. Now, when we go back, I don't know. Of course, I don't know what was said earlier, but obviously it looks like this officer is coming from around his car, and Mr. Wallace is getting out. He's got his light flashing on Mr. Wallace's eyes. Car is parked. It is not running. You don't hear the engines running. So he is not fleeing. He can't flee anyway because the officer has blocked the car. Now, just the fact that Mr. Wallace is sitting in the car, does that mean that he has committed a crime? Is that criminal to sit in the car? No, it is not. So we have to ask, why did this man approach Mr. Wallace? and prevented him from leaving, blocking him in essentially. Now the car is not running, but could you make an argument whether he's being falsely imprisoned? I don't know about that. I know that he can't leave apparently if he wanted to get back in his car and drive off without hitting this officer's car. So what reason he stopped him, we don't know. Now let me play it again, and I'm gonna pause it.
How's it going? Do you live here?
So he asks him, "Do you live here? Do you live here?" Wallace says, "What's going on?" The officer says, "Sit, sit, sit, sit." So at this point, he grabs him.
Sir, can you sit down? I'll talk to you. Stop.
Come on now.
Stop, sit. So at this point, he is not free to leave. He has detained him. He has not told him why he is being detained. Now, officers don't have to tell you necessarily. There's no law that says they have to tell you why you're being detained, but an officer cannot, if it's for a traffic violation, if it's for, typically if it's for a traffic violation, which I don't know if it is, and I can't see it from here, they can't hold you for a long period of time, longer than to do the traffic issue a traffic ticket or do his investigation. Now, I don't know what it is, and maybe this brother got scared because he's like, "Come on now, what are you doing?" And I'm assuming he probably thought an ambush was going to take place.
Dude,
because
why are you asking me to go live here?
Do you live here? Yes or no?
What's going on though?
Who? Charlie 777.
No,
and he says Charlie 77. So
stop.
Stop, man.
and here you hear the gunshot go off. Now, earlier today, it was reported that he was late last night that he was apprehended in DeKalb County. We go right here to the news story. This is coming from
Now with breaking news.
And to that breaking news, after days of searching,
This is coming from WESH in Channel 2.
the man accused of shooting a Daytona Beach police officer is now
Fair
in
Use
custody.
Act of
Daytona Beach
1976.
Police Chief Jakari Young tweeting out this photo just before 5 a.m. showing 29-year-old Othal Wallace in handcuffs. Wallace is alleged to have shot 26-year-old officer Jason Rayner in the head Wednesday night. So here's what we know about his arrest so far. Wallace was captured near Atlanta, Georgia. He was located on some rural property in the woods that is affiliated with an organization.
Now, y'all know what
NFAC
NFAC is. Now, of
Wallace
course, this
was
is the
actually
shit.
found
Now,
hidden
this is
in
the
a
thing about the
treehouse.
news. They have to mention, and I'm not associated with NFAC. I don't follow them in particular. I don't think they're, I've seen them around, seen stuff they do. That's the one that Grandmaster Jay was rolling with. I'll just say this about it. If they don't teach gun safety, if they don't teach gun lessons on guns and how to handle them, because they've had situations with some of their members, being accused of their guns going off and so forth, I would not mess with them. And you shouldn't mess with a group unless you know exactly everything about them. But I'm not here to trash them or anything like that. But I do know this. He is no longer a member with NFAC. And supposedly they released a statement kicking him, announced that they had kicked him out. Nevertheless, you notice in this news story, they had to put this in and mention it. See, they always gonna put the dirt on you, no matter what, and associate you with shit, even if it's from months ago, years ago. They will find everything negative about you. You see how quick they did this. They didn't even do this with Chauvin. Now let's finish the video.
There, he actually made a statement to police when he was captured saying, quote, "You guys know who I am and know what I'm capable of, and it could have been a lot worse." Several agencies helped in the capture, including U.S. Marshals, the FBI, Homeland Security, and authorities in DeKalb County, Georgia. Of course, we will continue to bring you any more information as soon as we
They
get
brought
it.
the Marshals, the FBI, and Homeland Security.
And meanwhile, the officer who was shot continues to fight for his life inside of Halifax Hospital in Daytona Beach. But police say he is showing signs of improvement and is strong enough to endure more testing. West 2's Kelsey Thorwald spoke with a family friend and has more on the outpouring support from the community. As Daytona Beach police officer Jason Rayner continues to fight for his life inside Halifax Health Medical Center, the community is doing all it can to show its support. Dozens of community members hopped in their Jeeps for a procession around the hospital, all to show Officer Rayner and his family that they're here for them.
This one hits close to home because I do know him and the family well.
Aaron Perro is a friend of Officer Rayner. He was actually one of Rayner's first training officers when Rayner joined the Daytona Beach Police Department back in 2019.
You know, he was probably one of the best trainees that I ever had in my career.
Perro has been in touch with Officer Rayner's family over the past few days. He told me they appreciate the community's support and just want to keep all the focus on his recovery.
Jason knows he has a great support group here, and he's very appreciative of the community standing behind him and all of the people that we don't even know that are supporting law enforcement in general, supporting Jason. And he's, you know, although, you know, he's got a long road ahead, the family is very appreciative of getting his story out there.
Kelsey Thorwald, West 2 News.
All right, so okay, so that's one video. There's a couple other more videos I want to actually share with y'all because I want you to take a look at this and exactly how they are calling this, what they try to do, and the narratives that they show. They try to push. Now, do you remember this man? This is
Tonight, Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood.
Mike Chitwood. Okay, whenever I click on a video and it stops, he had his picture here. But this man, I'm going to go back to the video in a second. If you remember this guy, this Mike Chitwood, he has the best name. This is the guy 3 weeks ago whose deputies got caught in a shootout with those two little white kids. I shouldn't call them kids. They call them our children thugs and hooligans. Those miscreants who opened fire on his deputies like it was Grand Theft Auto. And he talked about how we live in a world culture now where they're talking about killing the police. There's a hatred for police. I'm exiting right at the right time. Now, that was Chitwood, and he was complaining about how they want to defund us, they want to do this, they want to do that. And of course, he's pushing hard for Officer Jason Rayner. Jason Rayner was the one who pulled up on Wallace, Othal Wallace. And he had some interesting comments. Actually, I just saw, I'm trying to pull up, about NFAC. He said NFAC is a danger to democracy. This is according to the Daytona Beach Journal. So, Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood says that it's just one of the, he's referring to what happened. He said before suspect Othal Wallace shot Daytona Beach Police Officer Jason Rayner, Wallace pulled the power cord on the officer's body camera, according to him. He says that in an interview Saturday, it's just one of the tactics taught by the NFAC, a black nationalist militia that has made its presence known at marches across the South starting in 2020. Wallace's social media accounts indicate his connection with NFAC. Those accounts have been taken down. He was captured early Saturday morning in a treehouse on rural property outside Atlanta, Georgia, that was owned by someone affiliated with NFAC. Some extremist experts and Chitwood said that NFAC is another example of a group like the Proud Boys that threatens the nation's peace. Oh, see how they're trying to affiliate you with the Proud Boys now. See, I knew something like this was coming. I had a feeling that it was going to be one incident, and it will mess up the entire group. So if you're affiliated with them, this is going to give the, although I'm sure the FBI was always watching, they're going to be watching you even further. Anybody associated with this group, anybody that's made a comment on social media about this group, anybody that said something positive, I'm sure law enforcement is going to be calling you or knocking at your door very soon. They're saying that the leader, that Johnson urged members to dismantle. John F. Johnson, aka Grandmaster J, took to YouTube to urge NFAC members to attack and kill law enforcement and their families. Johnson urged members to dismantle the body cameras of police they intended to assault. In an interview with NBC's Morgan Radford last March, Johnson said the NFAC was growing by leaps and bounds. He says its goals are self-defense and to create a black ethno state. The NFAC was born out of the last 4 years under the Trump administration. Although we had pictures of him working security at the Trump rally, video of it. But I mean, that was just a job. Doesn't mean he voted for Trump. I don't know who votes for who when they go in the voting booth. It means that you are the deterioration of racial relations in this country, he said. It means that you are preparing yourself to defend yourself. He called violence a last option, but added the United States was built on violence as an option. That part is true. It was. He called them a danger. Chitwood sees no difference in the threat posed by militia groups, left or right. I think that this is a grave crisis that's facing America right now because any extremist militia group, I don't care whether they're white, black, or Hispanic, whatever, they are a danger to society and they are a danger to democracy. Well, here's my thing. The Proud Boys, as you call it, have been around. I never saw Mr. Chitwood specifically call them out. I've never even heard of Mr. Chitwood. He only became famous because his officers got in a shootout with those two little democrats, those two little monsters that were shooting at his deputies. But this is what Chitwood had to say. I actually want to play the video of what Chitwood said before we move on here. Okay, where is this? Damn. I don't know what's going. Okay, here it is.
Tonight, Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood says an investigation into Othal Wallace has revealed a hatred for law enforcement. The sheriff says he thinks it was only a matter of time before he tried to kill a police officer.
What we're discovering is any law enforcement officer that came
I'm
in
pretty
contact with this guy,
he said
was
we
going
were
to get killed.
discovering.
When you listen to his manifestos and you see what he's...
I bet this asshole was not even on the team when they apprehended him. You're a sheriff. No disrespect to the sheriff, real true sheriffs out there, sheriffs and deputies when I say this, but they caught him in Atlanta. You weren't. How do you know what was? How do you know what was in his head?
He's posting, and you see the hatred that he's putting out there toward police. We have to eradicate that. We cannot allow hatred to dominate our life, and that's what this was motivated as.
The sheriff says in the 24 hours since
We don't know
searching
what it was
began, a
motivated
flood of
by.
information has come in from
Look.
the public.
All I'm saying is this. I'm not defending Othal Wallace. I'm not defending his actions. I don't know why he did what he did, and I don't know why the officer did what he did. Why did he stop this man and approach and put his hands on him? A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are frustrated by law enforcement, not because it's not just about being born out of hatred. It's about the fact that there are a lot of police officers who are not police officers, but are actually disguised race soldiers who come out there trying to attack young black men. There's some officers I know who legitimately do their jobs. They do their due diligence, and they like to come home. But you know something, even those good cops, I don't hear them speak out about the bad cops often. They always tell us, well, all police ain't bad, all police ain't bad, but I don't see the good cops saying anything. So I want to know what the facts are of this case. The media, essentially, guys, they make things even more problematic. I'm just going to share with you this clip. I've spent too much time on this, but I want to share this one because I'm trying to keep it moving right now. But y'all got to see this one. But this is just the level of anticlimactic reporting. This is the crap that they do. This is coming out of Orlando, WKMG. And y'all gotta just listen to what they say. How it starts.
And the public, this body cam video, which included the moment Officer Rayner was shot last night. Now, we chose not to air the entire.
And notice he said he was going for his power cord. Chidwood says he's going for his power cord. But when you watch the body camera footage, let me pause it.
We have decided it is important.
As you watch the body camera footage, the camera doesn't stop after this gunshot goes off. So how you know he pulled it? How you going to say that he was going for the power cord, disabling it, if it goes off? How we don't know it fell off? How we don't know that it looked like, from what we don't know that he tried to pull it. You can't judge someone's intent until we have all the facts. Now, again, I'm not defending what he did, but when a cop gets out of the car, at any moment, we know that a police officer has the authority, as Ice Cube said, to kill a minority.
To show you in its entirety. Yeah, so in our new digital show, Solutionaries, investigator Louis Bolden has been focusing on the relationship between law enforcement and the community. He joins us now to walk us through the seconds that changed this officer's life and why it's so important to understand the risk our law enforcement officers face every single day. Louis.
Our newsroom has been focusing on policing for the past year and intensely for the last 4 months on Solutionaries. Every time there is an incident with an officer and a suspect, we analyze it thoroughly before making the decision to air it. Tonight, Trooper Steve Montiero and I want to show you what this officer was up against, and I have to warn you, this is difficult to watch. As police continue searching for Othal Wallace, who they say shot a 26-year-old Daytona Beach police officer, Daytona Beach police quickly released the officer's body camera footage.
Video is tragic. It shows something that we don't see really much ever.
News 6 initially stopped the video just before the officer is shot, but we strive for transparency, so it sparked a discussion in our newsroom.
Do you believe the public should see that video in its entirety? Yes. Why? Over the past year, we have seen so many law enforcement encounters that have kind of motivated for reform, and those videos were graphic. And this is the stuff.
Well, that's what you do.
That as a cop, you fear. And I think showing something like this to the community can create a mutual respect.
Whenever there is video like this, my concern is always the family of the officers, the family seeing this video over and over again.
I know that my family, if this was me, would want that out there.
Trooper Steve believes the video gives the public an up-close look at what officers are up against every day. I watched the video in its entirety for the first time with him.
Do you live here?
So he's asking him normal questions.
The entire exchange between Officer Jason Rayner and Othal Wallace.
He's asking normal questions, but the question is not, he does not have to answer that if there's no legitimate stop. He's parked there. You don't know why he's there. And he puts his hands on him.
This is 29
So he's not
seconds.
free to leave.
We decided to show the video in its entirety to show you just how fast
So this is
it
an apartment
happened.
complex.
First, there's a verbal exchange.
Sit down.
Why are you asking me, do I live here?
Do you live here? Yes or no?
Then there appears to be a scuffle, and in the middle of it, you barely hear the gunshot. Why do you think it's important for the public to see it?
I think there is a perspective that we don't see. We see a third camera all the time, a cell phone video. This is a one-on-one interaction taking place with two human beings. One on the right side of the law and the other one on the bad side. And in less than 30 seconds, everybody's life has changed.
Daytona Beach Police Chief Jakari Young weighed in as well.
If we didn't want it out, we would not have released it. I realize it was graphic, but I wanted to make an impact. We needed it to make the impact that it made. And that was our goal in releasing that footage, because I still believe in this country, the good outweighs the bad. And the good-hearted folks that see a video like that, if they have any information, that right there will get them to speak up.
You heard the chief. He put that video out for a purpose. It is for the community to see it and possibly generate
This
leads.
is
If you have any
anticlimactic
information about
reporting.
Othal
Remember,
Wallace,
this is
contact
graphic.
Daytona Beach Police. I'm Lewis Bolden, News
And
6.
look at the comments on this on YouTube. Show everything to the American people. Hiding people from the real world have severe consequences. Just look around. That was the most drawn-out, gratuitous, self-flattering, anticlimactic report I have ever seen. They act like we're fragile 5-year-olds. I realize it was graphic, and we want you to see everything. Show blurs of shadows. This is the least graphic video I've ever watched. I want to see the part that prompted the officer to approach him. Exactly. Why did he approach him? It's not illegal to get out your car. You say, well, see, that's a normal question. He doesn't have to answer a question if he just parked his car, period. Does that warrant what he did shooting him? Absolutely not. You can only open fire if you think that your life is being threatened, but was his life being threatened? Did he have that fear? You know, when it's police officers, they want you to always comply. And, you know, I recommend obviously complying just so that I could see you alive for another day. But we're going to find out more that what's happened. Of course, they're going to go into the guy's history, Othal Wallace's history. I'm sure some people, especially out in Twitter, may be looking at Jason Rayner's history. Our black brothers and sisters in the new black media, I'm sure, will do their due diligence to look and see if he has anything on his record. But we're going to monitor and continue. I've spent a lot of time on this, so I got to move on. But yeah, man, interesting story. I just wanted to talk about that one. The other thing we want to talk about, too, is, of course, this was the big news. 22 and a half years. Derrick Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in the death of George Floyd. Of course, everyone knows that Floyd was murdered on camera in front of everyone on May 25th, I believe it was Memorial Day when that happened. Well, it wasn't May 25th, whatever the last, was it the last? It's always the last Monday in May 23rd, May 24th, if I'm not, it was 25th, it was around that Memorial Day holiday last year. And tributes, of course, came out. People were touched over the death of George Floyd. May 25th, it was that day, I was correct. And Chauvin received a 22 and a half year sentence. Some people obviously were not happy about that. Some people consider it justice in moving the needle forward. You know, it's the longest. I've seen people on my Facebook page say, well, this was the longest sentence. This was good because we got it right. You know, it was longer than anything we had seen before. I honestly do not see a joy in this and see what we're celebrating for, dancing for. Yeah, I did listen to Jason Black yesterday, and he gave some interesting insight. He said, one down, thousands more to go. Because this is not there are other Derrick Chauvin people worse than Derrick Chauvin that are out there. And this is one out of 400 years, or since the police department has been founded in this country, which started out as the slave catchers. If you want to say when the early police department started in the United States, that's when it started. So what, we'd say 250 years? In any event, they had George Floyd's family speak. I did a video live stream of everything that was going on that day. You know, they had the family give their victim impact statements and so forth. But of course, what was most disgusting for me, what I did not like, was when Derrick Chauvin's mother spoke. Now, Derrick Chauvin's mother, Carolyn Paulenti, spoke before sentencing. And I want you to listen carefully to what she had to say.
And TY. I am the mother of Derrick Chauvin. I am here to speak on behalf of my entire family. On November 25th, 2020, not only did Derrick's life change forever, but so did mine and my family's. Derrick devoted 19 years of his life to the Minneapolis Police Department. It has been difficult for me to hear and read what the media, public, and prosecution team believe Derrick to be an aggressive, heartless, and uncaring person. I can tell you that is far from the truth. My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist. I want this court to know that none of these things are true and that my son is a good man. Derrick always dedicated his life and time to the police department. Even on his days off, he would call in to see if they needed help. Derrick is a quiet, thoughtful, honorable, and selfless man. He has a big heart, and he always has put others before his own. The public will never know the loving and caring man he is that his family does. Even though I have not spoken publicly, I have always supported him 100% and always will. Derrick has played over and over in his head the events of that day. I've seen the toll it has taken on him.
Now notice, I gotta stop this. Now it's got 1.1 million views. Notice not once so far in this clip, which is only 3 minutes and 15 seconds, has she ever mentioned the Floyd family or what happened to George Floyd. Not once has she said, we are devastated about Mr. Floyd's death. You know, my son shows remorse for what happened. My son is sorry about what happened. Never once.
I believe a lengthy sentence will not serve Derrick well. When you sentence my son, you will also be sentencing me.
I
will not be able to see Derrick, talk to him on the phone, or give him our special hug. Plus the fact that when he is released, his father and I most likely will not be here.
Okay. And George Floyd is no longer here. Now, was that not self-serving? Was that not selfish to you? George Floyd will never get to see, and his family will never get to see George Floyd again. Not his daughters, and it's not his sons, not his brothers and sisters. They will not his girlfriend. Nobody will get to see George Floyd again. Now, let me say this, because I've seen, I saw Judge Joe Brown talk about this. He said that George Floyd is not a martyr, and I agree with Brother Judge. He's not. You know, I've seen people have statues for George Floyd and murals and things of that nature, which typically happens, obviously, when someone dies, they build a mural for them out of respect. And I understand that. And certainly that does not, what happened to him should never have happened. I do not put him, though, as a civil rights icon or martyr. I cannot do that. He was someone that was a victim of police brutality. He was murdered. And that's the way I leave it. And in this case, I think, you know, justice served. I'm thinking about it. You know, in this case, he was murdered. There was some justice, and some, I mean, yes, he's going to do time, but that time, do I think he should have gotten more? Absolutely. I think that it warranted certainly 40 years in prison, but I did not believe it was going to happen. I felt, yes, he should have gotten it because he had multiple chances to getting up off George Floyd when he complained he wasn't breathing. Floyd was handcuffed. He had intent, obviously, to do this. He kept his knee on this man's neck and on his back longer than the appropriate period. He should have gotten more time. And when you look at Judge Cahill in the George Floyd case in sentencing, he did not say anything. You can actually read his memorandum. That they have posted on NPR right now. I won't go through all of it. But he sentenced him to 270 days in prison, 70 months, excuse me, in prison, 22 and a half years. And I'm going to say this with y'all. Chauvin is basically the sacrificial lamb. Jason Black alluded to this yesterday on his program. He is a sacrificial lamb. They say, all right, you got to go because you got off code. You were seen by everybody doing this. This was callous. This, you know, you beat this man up. You killed this man. You laid on top of him. He gave him a mandatory surcharge for that's supposed to be paid from his prison wages, which is $78. He was given credit for time served. He had been in jail since his conviction for 199 days. Can't own a firearm, can't own ammunition, explosives for the rest of his life, has to provide a DNA sample, register as a predatory offender. And this is his memorandum, and he based it off guidelines. And I will say this, when he was giving his statement, I agreed with him initially that you cannot make decisions off of emotion. They can't be. You never let emotions dictate your decisions because it can cost you. However, He said he felt sorry for both families.
I wanted to thank everybody for being
Listen
here
to it.
and for providing the input you did. Not just the people who were in the courtroom here, but also those who provided written statements, both from the Floyd family and the defendant's family. I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. And it is truly appreciated that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input. I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law, but my comments are actually going to be very brief because most of it's going to be in writing. I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case. And that is why, as opposed to trying to being profound here on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determine the sentence in this case. What the case is, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge.
So he did this in writing already.
And tremendous pain.
Listen.
That all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family.
All the families. Excuse me, Your Honor. The family who's feeling the pain is the Floyd family and the Floyd family alone. Yes, I know I've seen what going to jail can do to a family, or going to prison to a family of that person that was convicted. It is a hard thing to look at. It's a hard thing to go through, but it is George Floyd's family who are the victims here, and not Derrick Chauvin's family.
You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community. It has been painful throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages. A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You're granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from...
I already went over that, so I'm not going to focus further on it, guys, but I wanted to ask everyone, did you think justice was served with this? Now, they're using this now to go ahead and push for this George Floyd Policing Act. I need to look and see what's actually in the act. That's what you think, Lady Ruler? I think that, well, if you look at the reasonings here, here's another thing I noticed, because I attached the NPR article in there. You could read his reasonings for it in that document. This is an order and memorandum. This essentially will break down. He's already given Chauvin what he has to do for an appeal, because what I'm looking at is the sentencing order and memorandum, and eventually what happens next is he's denied the motion for a new trial. He's denied him probation, which is what the defense asked for. They said it wasn't appropriate. So what will happen next is that the appeals process shall begin. Remember when Maxine Waters made those remarks about what would happen if Derrick Chauvin were not convicted, and even the judge said you might have something here when he was arguing, his defense counsel was arguing for a mistrial or arguing for a dismissal based off that. The judge denied both of those, but he did say you might have something here, referring to Congresswoman Maxine Waters' remarks. So we'll figure out and see exactly where this one goes at. But family, it is not over with yet. But we don't need to be celebrating and dancing and shucking and jiving. We do that too much all the time. So without a doubt, I think, it's good that some justice was given to George Floyd's family, although I did see where his brother who's been talking did that all lives matter talk. But we shall see. So I'm not going to be too much further. I did have a couple other things. I want to talk about this right quick. I wanted to mention Biden's remarks, but and I'll do that in a second. But I want to talk about this. The Breakfast Club, Breakfast Schlubs, did something very insulting.
That's not true. That's not true.
It is true. It is true. You make fun of me. So I really want to get into this. Why you don't like that?
It's not true. I don't dislike it. It's just that, like, growing up, I used to hear reggae, and I didn't get it. There's certain things I would understand, like Bob Marley. I love Bob Marley. But there's certain records I would hear and be like, because people love dancehall, like go crazy. And I just was like, I don't get why y'all.
It's really my favorite genre of music.
It's really my favorite genre of music. Like, she's so damn annoying.
But hip hop came from dancehall.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right?
No. I'm going with whatever somebody says. I don't know.
Even right now, when you watch Versus, that is all coming from dancehall.
That's an outright lie.
The battles came from dancehall, not the.
Oh yeah.
The whole versus thing is
and even who started hip hop was a Jamaican who came to New York or
Cool Herc. Yes.
And that's how hip hop started. So we have to respect and pay respect.
No. You want to know where hip hop started? Again, I talked about Gil Scott-Heron. We've talked about Black icons, but somebody else. Here's one foundational Black American who started hip hop right here. I think this man has something to say about it. Every song, every R&B hip hop artist was influenced by James Brown. His song, Funky Drummer, is the most sampled song in hip hop. Dance hall music. Please get the fudge.
Respect to the real genre.
I definitely respect it. Yeah.
But I want you to like it. I want you to listen more dancehall.
That's a damn lie.
Feel of it. I promise you.
That's what it is. I need to listen to more.
You know what my song called "So Me Like It"?
So Me Like It.
She's doing that. Her, was that Shaggy on that?
Listen to it. When
we're gonna play it this morning.
They're doing that to promote their shit, man. That's why they want to
She just sucked her teeth.
Angela.
But you know what? When we first started on the Breakfast Club, the song "Rompin' Shop" I think was in the heaviest rotation. I know. Angela, you know what time it is. We have to get the guy. We have to get him up to par. Remember, I came to Jamaica in the streets, make him see the girl and climb the tree and not do the things them. You don't understand? I can't.
And they don't check them when they say stuff like this. Now, this is flat out disrespectful. And I follow him and he follows me. Even Chuck D said some shit like this. And Chuck D, I didn't comment. Chuck D, I think, even comment talk about giving the Islanders their props that they started this stuff.
Hands everybody, cause these are the breaks. I'ma take y'all back to 78 before DJs and MCs rock the break.
Okay, I don't want to play this music because I don't own that. I don't want that to come on. But someone shouted us, one of my dudes, guy who follows me, and I follow Chuck D, but Chuck D was even talking about giving the Jamaicans their props. Excuse me? This is part of the reason I tweeted this, I retweeted it, why I stopped watching The Breakfast Schlubs. I don't listen to it anymore. Angela Yee always got to comment on some shit that she doesn't know about. Angela, I got to step out when Dr. Umar Johnson comes in. Yee can't be a professional and interview the guy. One who cares says, yeah, Charmaine needs to go. Shout out to the Last Poet Society. Yeah, even New Orleans, music from Fats Domino. I see Brother Dwambi, he's put this out here. Pioneers like Fats Domino. Dwambi even said, pioneers like Fats Domino. His style of music and boogie woogie actually influenced hip hop as well. All of that comes from R&B music. We talk Black Music Month. Like I put James Brown on here. Funky Drummer. Go listen to Funky Drummer and listen to that breakdown. I wish I could play it. But y'all listen to that breakdown of Funky Drummer by James Brown. You've heard it all the time. That is the platform that is used in every major hip-hop song. The Last Poets. Yeah, Gil Scott-Heron. The Last Poets. We got James Brown. You got some other people. Even if you said Cheek, Niles Rodgers and those guys, because their song Good Times, that bass by Bernard Edwards. That bass line was used for Rapper's Delight. It wasn't started by no damn Jamaicans. I know that Kid and Play Kid, his daddy is Jamaican. But come on, man. I know some shit like that. I know some stuff better than that. Even when you're talking about rapping over beat verses and stuff, that's called playing the dozens when people would rap over lyrics and diss you. That's just dozens. Everybody did that. People were doing that on the street. Cut this shit out, man. We got to take our stuff back. Music, we got to control our own thing, man, because if not, we're going to have other people doing it for us. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. And finally, I got to get to this because we got to keep moving. I'm pushed for some time. I spent a lot longer than what I was going to talk about. I want to talk about Biden's gun violence plan. Shout out to Brother Bernard James, who's tuned in. He actually shared this link to me. You guys can look at it when you get a chance online. I'm not going to be no more than about 3 more minutes because I got to run. I'm going to do a review of the Fast and Furious 9 movie I'm going to go see in a little bit. But this is a fact sheet that the Biden-Harris administration announced comprehensive strategy to prevent and respond to gun crime and ensure public safety. Now, y'all need to take a look at it I want to know, just curious, how many of you think that any crime bill, anything law that Joe Biden passes is going to stop crime? Raise your hand by a show of hands. You think it's going to have an impact on gun violence? Just curious. Because often what happens when we always see a problem, we want immediate answers. We want a solution to it. And just looking at this strategy is to stem the flow of firearms used to commit violence, including by holding rogue firearms dealers accountable for violating federal laws, support local law enforcement with federal tools and resources to help address some of violent crime, invest in evidence-based community violence interventions, expanding summer programming, employment opportunities, and other services and supports for teenagers, help formerly incarcerated individuals successfully re-enter their communities. So stem the flow of firearms used to commit violence. I'm wondering how you're going to do that. It says including by holding rogue firearms dealers accountable. So how do we hold them accountable? How are you going to, what do you plan to do by stemming the control of firearms? What exactly does that mean? So we have to ask ourselves what it is that's going to happen. Of course, there are some people who, and y'all can hear it's about to rain, not happy about this. There are some who think that it won't be effective. What do y'all think? I personally think that there's no bill. This bill is going to be just like the COVID-19 bill. It's going to be general impact. Might be even worse than that, I should say. Excuse me, I'm going to correct myself, especially if they're looking about passing House Bill 127. I look at what's going on in Chicago. I look at Washington, D.C. and some other cities that have some of the toughest gun laws in the country, and yet there's still a lot of gun violence. Do we care about gun violence, or do we care about violence after all? Does it have to come from a gun? What about people? People mention how Japan has stopped gun violence. They don't have guns in there, although that's not true. They do have guns, Yakuza. They carry guns. But the reality is also with Japan, while they may not have a overall violence rate with regards to firearms, they also have high suicide rates. So do we care about life being lost, or is it just life by a gun? Because it seems more and more when I hear people say this, it's more about controlling people than it is about gun control. And when, like Miles said, political power comes out of the barrel of a firearm, out of the barrel of a gun. Because when you have a gun, their life flashes in front of their eyes. It controls everything. So I'm not completely sold on all of this stuff. Frank Nitty, what's up? Frank says this targets regular people. What's up, Dan Rook? Shout out to all of you who have been tuning in. I'm just looking at the clock, guys. I do have to get out of here because I've spent a little more time than what I was supposed to on this, and I got carried away on that Othal Wallace topic. We're going to continue monitoring that and let you know. But I want to look at Dan's comment. He says, we care more about the control aspect. Gun control is synonymous with people control. Don't be fooled. Absolutely. I've done shows on this channel before about HR 127 that Sheila Jackson Lee has passed and, well, not passed, but drafted. Although it may be likely that it wouldn't make it out the Senate, thank God. But this is what your leaders are talking about when they're talking about taking away your gun rights. You got to be mindful of that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up, and I will see you all on the next one on Tuesday. I think tomorrow I'm going to be on Talk with Queen Amadaya. We might be doing a show tomorrow. I'll let you guys know and do an ad. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed. Continue to be good, be safe. Enjoy the rest of this Sunday. I will, to the best of my ability, even though it's raining right now. But I'll see you all in the next one. By the song, Gotta Get On Up. I'll holla. Peace.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we're Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something up. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something up. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something up. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.